I was staring at my phone when the message came through. Diana. After 5 years of silence there, she was asking if we could talk. 5 years ago, she made me sign a post-nuptial agreement because she needed to protect her money from someone like me. A guy with nothing but a salary and dreams she called worthless. Now I own a home she could never afford, and she is living with her parents. The irony was not lost on me as I opened her message and saw those 3 words that said everything about how far she had fallen and how far I had climbed. Can we meet? Before we dive into how pride can blind us and karma has perfect timing, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story shows what happens when someone bets against the wrong person. I met Diana 7 years ago at a charity event in downtown Seattle. I was not there because I belonged in that world of expensive suits and champagne glasses. A friend from college worked for the organizing committee and needed extra hands to help set up. I was wearing khakis and a button-down shirt I bought on sale, carrying folding chairs across a hotel ballroom when I saw her. She wore a navy dress that probably cost more than my rent, but what caught my attention was not the clothes. It was the way she laughed at something her friend said, genuine and unguarded. Our eyes met when I nearly knocked over a centerpiece, and instead of the annoyed look I expected, she smiled. We talked during the event's downtime. She asked what I did, and I told her the truth. Software engineer at a startup, nobody had heard of working 70-hour weeks because I believed in the product we were building. She seemed interested, asked real questions about the technology, about my work. She told me she worked in her family's real estate investment company, managing their portfolio of commercial properties. For 2 years we dated. I took her to places I could afford, small restaurants with good food, hiking trails that cost nothing but gas money, coffee shops where we would sit for hours talking about everything. She said she loved that I was different from the guys in her circle, guys who talked about their bonuses and their connections. I thought she meant it. When I proposed to her on a weekend trip to the San Juan Islands, it was not elaborate. Just us, a quiet beach at sunset, and a ring I saved 6 months to buy. She said yes immediately, kissed me, told me she could not wait to start our life together. I believed her completely. 2 weeks before the wedding, everything shifted. We were in my apartment, a 1-bedroom place in Capitol Hill that I rented for $1,200 a month. Diana arrived with her laptop and a serious expression I had not seen before. She sat down at my small kitchen table and opened a document. She needed to talk about something important, she said. Her family had concerns. I asked what kind of concerns, and she looked uncomfortable for the first time since I had known her. Financial concerns, she explained. Her mother, Patricia, had been advising her about protecting assets. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Protecting assets from what, I asked. From whom? She did not answer directly. Instead, she talked about her inheritance, her trust fund, her shares in the family company. She had a portfolio worth several $1,000,000, she said. Real estate holdings across 3 states. Investment accounts her grandfather set up. All of this needed protection. I told her I understood that, but we were getting married. Washington was a community property state. She knew that. She looked at me then with an expression I could not quite read. That was exactly why she needed a post-nuptial agreement. A post-nup. Not even a prenup, which people signed before marriage. This would be signed after, which felt somehow worse. Like she was already preparing for the marriage to fail. She pulled up the document and started explaining the terms. Anything she owned before the marriage would remain hers. Anything she acquired during the marriage with her money would remain hers. Any inheritance or gifts from her family would remain hers. Everything would be separate. And what about me, I asked. What do I have? She looked at her laptop screen, not at me. I had my salary from the startup. Around $75,000 a year. I had stock options that might be worth something someday, but probably not. Those were her words. Probably not. I felt the insult like a physical thing, but I kept my voice level. So if your investments grow, that is yours. If my company succeeds, that is mine. She nodded. Exactly. Fair, she called it. But the way she said it, the tone that suggested my equity would never amount to anything, that my work was somehow less real than hers, that stung deeper than the document itself. I asked if this was really necessary, if she really thought I would try to take her money. She got defensive then. It was not about that, she insisted. It was about being smart. Her mother had made that very clear. People from different financial backgrounds needed clear boundaries. Different financial backgrounds. That was how she saw us. Not as two people in love, but as people from different economic classes who needed a contract to coexist. I should have walked away. Looking back now, that was the moment I should have understood what the marriage would become. But I loved her, or I thought I did. So I signed. I signed the post-nuptial agreement that stated in legal terms that I was not good enough, that my potential meant nothing, that I needed to be protected against. We got married 3 months later, in a ceremony her family paid for. I should have seen that as another sign. The first year of marriage taught me what it meant to live in someone else's world. We moved into a penthouse apartment in Belltown that her family purchased as a wedding gift. Purchased for her. The deed had only her name. I paid half the utilities and the homeowner association fees, which came to about $1,500 a month. I was essentially a tenant in my wife's home. Diana worked from home most days, managing the family portfolio from the second bedroom she converted into an office. I commuted to the startup in Fremont, leaving at 7 in the morning, and often not returning until 9 or 10 at night. We were building something real, a platform that connected small manufacturers with retailers, cutting out the middlemen who took huge percentages. The work was intense, but I believed in it. Diana did not. When I talked about our progress, about the deals we were closing, about the interest from potential investors, she would nod politely but change the subject. When I mentioned that we might need to delay our vacation because we were close to securing Series A funding, she got angry. This startup was taking over my life, she said. When would I get a real job with a real salary and real benefits? Her family was worse. Sunday dinners at her parents' house in Medina became interrogations. Patricia would ask pointed questions about my career trajectory, comparing me unfavorably to the sons of their friends. Lawyers, bankers, consultants who made partner by 30. Men who could provide properly. I stopped going to those dinners after Patricia suggested in front of everyone that maybe Diana could get me an entry-level position in their company. Property management, she said. Something stable. I was a software engineer with 6 years of experience. I did not need her charity. That fall, my startup hit a rough patch. Our biggest client delayed their contract, and we had cash flow problems. I asked Diana if she could loan me $10,000. Just a loan, I said. I would pay it back with interest when we got the contract signed. She looked at me like I had asked her to set money on fire. We have a post-nup, she reminded me. Her money was her money. My problems were my problems. I worked extra hours, took on freelance consulting work at night, and covered my share of everything. But the message was clear. I was on my own in this marriage. We lived together. We slept in the same bed. But financially and emotionally, I was alone. The second year was worse. Diana decided to expand her business interests. She had always wanted to own something beyond the family company, she said. Something that was entirely hers. She chose luxury spas, high-end wellness centers targeting wealthy clients. She invested $400,000 of her own money into launching a chain called Serenity Sanctuaries. I tried to help. I offered to build her a website to set up her systems to analyze the market data. She dismissed every suggestion. I worked with computers, she said. I did not understand real business. Real business was what she learned from her family. Real business was intuition and connections, not data and algorithms. She opened 3 locations in 6 months: downtown Seattle, Bellevue, and Kirkland, each one more elaborate than the last, with imported stones and custom lighting, and staff trained in techniques most people had never heard of. The problem was the locations were wrong. Downtown rent was astronomical, and the foot traffic was mostly tourists and office workers, not the ultra-wealthy clientele she wanted. Bellevue was oversaturated with spas already. Kirkland might have worked, but she priced services so high that even wealthy clients went elsewhere. I tried to tell her. I showed her the numbers, the market analysis, the customer data that suggested she needed to adjust her strategy. She accused me of not supporting her dreams, of being jealous of her success. Success. She was burning through money, but she could not see it. Meanwhile, something happened at my company. We got approached by a new startup that had just secured major venture capital funding. They were building a revolutionary supply chain platform and needed experienced engineers who understood the manufacturer-retailer space. They offered me a senior engineer position with a significant equity package. 20,000 shares at $4 a share. I came home excited to tell Diana. This was the break I had been waiting for. A company with real funding, real potential, a product that could genuinely disrupt the industry. She barely looked up from her phone. Another risky startup, she said. When would I stop chasing fantasies and get a real job? That hurt more than the Post-Nup, more than her family's condescension, more than anything else. I was working myself to exhaustion, trying to build something, and she saw it as a fantasy. I stopped talking to her about work after that. By the 3rd year, we were barely a couple anymore. We were roommates who occasionally had dinner together. Diana's spas were failing. She had to close the Kirkland location after 8 months. The Bellevue location was losing money every month. Only the downtown location survived, and just barely. She had burned through most of her initial investment and had to ask her family for more money. Patricia was furious. Diana had made these decisions without consulting the family advisors, and now she needed a bailout. I heard them arguing on the phone one Sunday morning. Patricia told Diana she was reckless, that she had terrible business judgment, that she should have stuck to managing existing properties instead of trying to build something new. The irony was not lost on me. Diana had dismissed my work as fantasy, but her own venture was the one collapsing. She started taking her stress out on me. If I had been more successful, she said she would not be so stressed about money. If I had a stable job with a good salary, she could have taken more risks. Somehow her business failure was my fault, because I was not making enough money to cover her mistakes. She compared me to other men constantly. The son of her mother's friend, who just made partner at a law firm. Her college roommate's husband, who was a vice president at Amazon. Men who could afford to support their wives properly, she said. Men who were actually going somewhere. I found out she was researching divorce lawyers when I used her laptop to check my email. She had not even bothered to close the browser tabs. Multiple tabs about Washington State Divorce Law Community Property Division, how post-nuptial agreements affected settlements. She was planning her exit. We had the fight that ended everything on a Tuesday night in March. I came home late from work, exhausted from a 14-hour day. Diana was waiting for me, and she was furious. Where had I been, she demanded. Working, I said. Always working at that pathetic startup, she said. When was I going to grow up and get a real career, I snapped. I told her that at least I was building something real, not throwing money into a failing business and blaming everyone else. At least I was not asking my mommy to bail me out when my bad decisions caught up to me. At least I took responsibility for my choices. She went cold. That was when she said it. The thing that ended our marriage in that moment, even though the paperwork would take a few more months. I should have listened to my mother, she said. I should have married someone at my level, not someone going nowhere dragging me down. I looked at her and I realized I did not love her anymore. Maybe I had not for a while. I told her she should do whatever she needed to do. I was done fighting. She filed for divorce 2 weeks later. The divorce was quick, almost businesslike thanks to the post-nup she had insisted on. She kept the apartment, her remaining spa, her investment accounts, and everything her family had given her. I took my clothes, my laptop, my few pieces of furniture, and my stock options that were probably not worth anything. The last conversation we had was in the apartment lobby, as I was loading the last box into my car. She told me good luck with my little tech thing. The condescension in her voice was pure Diana. She hoped it worked out for me, she said, but she was not optimistic. I told her I hoped she found what she was looking for. I meant it. I wanted her to be happy just far away from me. I moved into a studio apartment in Fremont, 600 square feet, that cost me $1,800 a month. It was one room with a kitchen alcove and a bathroom, but it was mine. I slept on an air mattress for the first month because I could not afford a real bed yet. I ate ramen and eggs and bought my clothes at Target. But I was free. More importantly, I was angry. Not bitter, not vindictive, just coldly, clearly angry. Angry at myself for accepting her treatment for so long. Angry at her for making me feel worthless. Angry at her family for their condescension. That anger became fuel. I threw myself into work like never before. 80-hour weeks became normal. I was one of 3 senior engineers, and I made myself indispensable. When the CEO needed someone to handle a critical client meeting, I volunteered. When we had a major technical crisis at 2 in the morning, I was the one who solved it. When we needed to make a critical decision about our platform architecture, my analysis was the one that guided us. The company grew fast. Our platform was genuinely better than anything else on the market, and word spread. We signed major clients, companies with recognizable names. Our user base grew from 500 to 5,000 to 50,000. 18 months after my divorce, we got acquired. The acquisition was announced on a Tuesday morning. A major enterprise software company bought us for $320 million. My 20,000 shares, which Diana had dismissed as worthless, were now worth $80 each. $1,600,000. After taxes, I walked away with just over $1 million. I sat in my studio apartment that night looking at my bank account balance, and I did not feel triumphant. I felt tired. Vindicated maybe, but mostly just tired. All those years of being told I was not good enough, that my work was not real, that I was going nowhere. And here I was. The acquiring company offered me a position as vice president of engineering, which I accepted. The salary alone was $250,000 a year, more than 3 times what Diana had dismissed as inadequate. But more than the money, I had respect. I had a team of 40 engineers who looked to me for guidance. I had a voice in major decisions. I had something I built with my own hands and my own mind. I bought a townhouse in Queen Anne, nothing ostentatious, just a clean 3-bedroom place with a small yard and a view of the Space Needle. I hired a financial advisor and invested carefully. Real estate index funds, some calculated risks in promising startups. My portfolio grew. I started mentoring young engineers, especially ones from non-traditional backgrounds, who reminded me of myself. I volunteered with a nonprofit that taught coding to underprivileged kids. I joined a climbing gym and made friends who knew nothing about tech and did not care about my net worth. I dated casually, nothing serious, just remembered what it felt like to be valued for who I was, not what I could provide. My life was good. Not perfect, but genuinely good in a way it had never been with Diana. I was happy. And Diana, I heard things through mutual acquaintances. Her downtown spa location finally closed 2 years after our divorce. She tried to pivot to online wellness coaching, but that failed too. Then she got into cryptocurrency on the advice of a friend, invested heavily in something that turned out to be close to a scam. She lost most of what she had left. Her family's real estate company struggled during the market downturn. They had over-leveraged on commercial properties right before remote work became permanent, and their portfolio value dropped significantly. They could not bail Diana out anymore because they needed to save themselves. She sold the Belltown apartment at a loss, moved back in with her parents. The woman who had insisted on a post-nup to protect her millions was living in her childhood bedroom at 38 years old. I did not take pleasure in it exactly, but I did not feel sorry for her either. Then came the messages. 5 years after she told me good luck with my little tech thing. 5 years after she said I was going nowhere. The first message was casual. "Hey, long time no talk. How have you been?" I stared at it for a day before responding. "Fine," I wrote back. Her next message came within minutes. "Been through some changes. I have been thinking about us lately. About how things ended. Do you ever think about that I knew where this was going?" I could have ignored it, blocked or moved on. But curiosity got the better of me. Sometimes I wrote. Her response was longer. "I think we were too hasty. We were young, we made mistakes. Both of us. But what we had was real, was not it? Maybe we gave up too easily." I almost laughed. Too easily. She filed for divorce because I was not at her level. There was nothing easy about it. One more message came that night. "Can we meet up, just coffee? I really want to talk to you. Please." I thought about it for a week. Finally, I agreed. Not because I wanted her back. Not even because I wanted closure. I wanted to see it for myself. I wanted to see what desperation looked like on someone who had once looked at me with such condescension. We met at a coffee shop in Fremont Neutral Territory. I got there, first ordered an Americano, and sat by the window. Diana arrived 10 minutes late, and I barely recognized her. She wore jeans and a plain sweater, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. No designer dress, no expensive jewelry. She looked tired, older than her years. She smiled when she saw me, but it did not reach her eyes. We made small talk for a few minutes. Weather, traffic, nothing of substance. Then she got to it. She had been doing a lot of thinking, she said. About her choices, about what mattered. She made mistakes in our marriage. She could see that now. She had been too focused on the wrong things. Money, status, her family's approval. She had missed what was really important. I sipped my coffee and waited. She kept talking. She had been through a lot in the past few years. Business failures, financial setbacks, personal struggles. It gave her perspective. Made her realize what she lost when she lost me. She paused, looked at me with what she probably thought was sincerity. "We had something special," she said. "We really did. And she thought maybe if I was open to it, we could try again. We were both older now, wiser. We could do it right this time." I watched her as she spoke, and I noticed things. The way her eyes flickered to my watch, a Rolex I bought myself after the acquisition. The way she glanced out the window at my car, a Tesla Model S in the parking lot. The way she mentioned casually that if we did try again, that silly post-nup would not be necessary. We could just be partners. Real partners. Share everything. Real partners. That was rich. When I had nothing, we needed a legal document to keep her money safe from me. Now that I had more than she did, suddenly, we could be real partners. I set down my coffee cup. "Diana," I said, "I appreciate you reaching out. I do. But we are not the same people we were. I have moved on. I have built a life that makes me happy. A life with people who value me for who I am, not what I can provide them." She started to protest. She valued me, she said. She always did. That was a lie, and we both knew it. I stood up. "I hope you find your path," I told her. "I genuinely hope you get to a place where you are happy and stable. But that place is not with me. Take care of yourself." I left her sitting there, and I walked out into the Seattle drizzle without looking back. I got in my car, drove home to my townhouse, and I felt something I had not felt in years. Peace. Complete, total peace. That night I thought about the whole journey. The post-nup that had felt like such an insult 7 years ago had turned out to be a gift. If we had not had that agreement, the divorce would have been messy. She might have had a claim to my equity, to my acquisition payout, to everything I built after she told me I was going nowhere. That document she made me sign to protect her money ended up protecting mine. More than that, it taught me something crucial about self-worth. I spent years in that marriage believing I was not enough because I did not have what she had. I let her family's judgment become my own internal voice. But worth is not about money or status. Worth is about what you build, what you contribute, how you treat people, who you are when no one is watching. I succeeded not to prove Diana wrong, though there was some satisfaction in that. I succeeded because I finally started believing in myself the way I should have all along. The way I deserved to. True success is not about revenge or vindication. It is about building a life that reflects your values and makes you proud. It is about surrounding yourself with people who see your potential and support your growth. It is about knowing your worth regardless of what anyone else thinks. Diana taught me that lesson, though, not the way she intended. She showed me what happens when you value the wrong things. When you choose status over substance, money, over character, pride, over partnership. She had every advantage, every opportunity, and she squandered it all because she could not see past the surface. I do not hate her. I do not even think about her most days. She is just a part of my past, a chapter that taught me who I did not want to be and what I did not want to become. Sometimes people ask if I regret the marriage. I tell them no. Everything that happened, even the painful parts, made me who I am now. A person who knows his worth, who builds things that matter, who values people for their character instead of their bank accounts. A person who is finally genuinely happy. The tables did turn, but not in the way Diana probably thought about when she filed for divorce. I did not win because she lost. I won because I finally understood that it was never a competition. Success is not about having more than someone else. It is about being more than you were yesterday. It is about growth and purpose and peace. And I have all three now. Sometimes karma does not come back to hurt people. It just shows them what they could have had if they had chosen differently. And that in itself is the most powerful lesson of all. The life Diana could have shared, the partnership we could have built, the future we could have created together, all of it was real and possible. She just could not see it because she was too busy looking at the wrong measures of value. I see it clearly now, and I am grateful for every single thing that brought me here, including her. Have you ever had someone underestimate you only to watch them regret it later? Drop your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about resilience and growth. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that their worth is not determined by anyone else's opinion. Thank you for listening. And remember that your value is not measured by what others think you deserve, but by what you know you are capable of becoming. Keep building your empire, whatever that means to you.